Agha Shahid Ali, the famous Kashmiri poet in exile, once wrote, "My memories comes in the way of your history." Good evening, everyone. A very warm welcome to all of our viewers to another episode of Digital Discussion with Kashmir Journal. We are honored to have Sri Vivek Tankha, sir, Member of Parliament and Senior Advocate of Supreme Court. Vivek sir was one of the youngest Advocate Generals of Madhya Pradesh and was the first lawyer from Madhya Pradesh to have been appointed Additional Solicitor General of India. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
To add on, he is also serving as the Vice President to the Kashmir Foundation, which is a cultural organization under the lead of Justice Markandeya Kajju and is dedicated to the idea of Kashmiriyat. I would like to take this time to thankfully remember Sri Vivek Tankha sir's unparalleled support to the Team Chinar, supervised by Asif Abdullah of Srinagar, in helping thousands of Kashmiri stranded students and public to reach back home, and even other facilitations like arranging food and accommodations. Coming to the very topic of today's discussion, we are going to talk on Kashmiri Pandits and Kashmiriyat on the sidelines of contemporary affairs in our country. I would like to begin with pointing to a bit of historical context. The Kashmiri Pandits, a community of proud people whose history dates back to 5,000 years, also known as Kashmiri Brahmins, are a group of Kashmiri Hindus and a part of larger Shaivite Saraswat Brahmin community. They were and they are a very inclusive part of Kashmir. Both the communities, Kashmiri Muslims and Kashmiri Pandits, lived peacefully in harmony for centuries without any foreign involvements. D.L. Sheth, the former director of the Center for the Study of Developing Societies in India, lists Indian communities that constituted the middle class and were traditionally urban and professional, like doctors, lawyers, and teachers, immediately after the independence in 1947. This list included the Kashmiri Pandits, the Naga Brahmins from Gujarat, the South Indian Brahmins, the Punjabi Khatris, the Kayasthas from northern India, the Parsis, and the upper crusts of Muslim and Christian communities. According to P.K. Verma, education was a common thread that bound together this pan-Indian elite, and almost all the members of these communities could read and write English and were educated beyond school. So, speaking from a historical perspective, Vivek sir, what do you think about Kashmiri Pandits' inclusivity in Kashmiri civilization? Or as a Kashmiri Pandit, how much do you think Pandits are a part of Kashmir?
Irfan, first of all, thank you for calling me.
Yes.
It's a privilege to be talking to you and to your journal and to your audience both.
Thanks.
Yes, we did leave Kashmir more than 100 years back. I can't recollect when, because it's at least 6, 7, 8 generations ago. Our families first migrated to Uttar Pradesh, that's what I know. Then we were in Madhya Pradesh. My grandfather, great-grandfather held very good positions in the states at that time. Kashmiri Pandits were known for holding good positions, even in those days, in the states. They were considered both educated and diplomatic. They knew how to handle people in power. And that is why in most states in India, you would find Kashmiri Pandits as regents and in charge.
Exactly.
So that's what the job of my grandfather and great-grandfather was. My grandfather retired as a commissioner in Rewa division. He was education secretary when he last retired, I think 50, 51 or sometime. My father was born in Rewa, Naugod, it's a place near Rewa, but educated completely in Allahabad. And he was we had a lot of relatives in that region at that time. As you know, Allahabad was the bastion of freedom struggle.
Exactly. Yeah.
And the Nehrus, the Kajus, the Saprus, the Takrus,
Exactly.
and all the illustrious Kashmiri Pandit families of that area, Ugras, Mr. Ugra was the commissioner of Allahabad division in British times. So all these people together were a big name and an example for India. My father grew up in Allahabad in the midst of all this. Came back to Madhya Pradesh to practice, where he became a judge at the age of 41, 42 years old. This is 1972. He was a senior to Justice J.S. Verma on the day of elevation. But he passed away in 78 at a young age. Otherwise, he may have had a chance of going to Supreme Court and holding the highest position there. But that's destiny. I grew up in Madhya Pradesh, but we never forgot Kashmir. Whenever we got a chance as children, my father would take us to Srinagar, Pahalgaon, we go to Dachigaon, we would go to Gulmarg, we will go to all kinds of places. And we remember living in houseboats. We remember walking in Shalimar Park. You know, all those memories are still very vivid. And we used to love Kashmir, going to Kashmir. In fact, we used to look forward for
You still love Kashmir, sir?
Yes. Then my father-in-law is also Kashmiri. I'm saying this because I just want to give a little background.
Sure.
Between him and his father, they were elected MLAs from a constituency called Narsinghpur, I think 11 times or 9 times. I don't remember exact number. They were doyens of Madhya Pradesh politics, virtually the number 2 for 30, 40 years. My father-in-law was, and between them, they were ministers for 30, 40 years. I don't know how many years. And they were virtually like number 2 in the cabinet. They were finance ministers, they were health ministers. And my first contact with Kashmir, when I grew a little older, was in the early 90s, after the migration had begun. The exodus had begun in 1991, and people in distress, and Pandits largely, but also a lot of Muslims. They were all in distress. They were coming out of Kashmir, and they were getting refuge or support in different states of India. So Madhya Pradesh was one of the few states which took the early initiative with Maharashtra. Reservation for Kashmiri students in all our institutions. And that was Digvijay ji's gift to my father-in-law, who was the finance minister. He would say that, मैं अजय भाई के लिए ये बात कर रहा हूँ. अजय भाई की जो soul है, his heart and soul was so attached to Kashmir and Kashmiris. My father-in-law as finance minister used to be the president of the Kashmiri Association of Bhopal and that region. My father as a High Court judge used to be the president of the Kashmiri Pandit Association of Jabalpur and that region. May not be too many people, maybe 50, maybe 100, maybe 10, 20, I don't recollect many people. But we never lost touch with Kashmir. And after this help that my father-in-law gave, I as lawyer would defend the Kashmiri Pandits. You ask, there'll be a lot of students from Jabalpur and Madhya Pradesh who had problems at that time, and I was one of the leading lawyers of Madhya Pradesh at that time. I would do their cases and help them. And possibly everybody got relief from the courts. And so it's a huge connect. And when I was the district governor of Rotary, I still remember, I had a session on Kashmir, peace in Kashmir, where people like Mahesh Bhatt, Ashok Pandit, Moti Kaul, they all traveled to Jabalpur to attend that conference, in which I had Aishwarya Rai, I had J.S. Verma, I had Digvijay Singh, Chief Minister, Ajit Jogi, and it was a conference of people remember till today. And in that conference, we donated through Rotary the first ambulance for the people living in camps in Jammu. The first ambulance that reached there. I gave the keys to Mahesh Bhatt ji, Ashok Pandit ji, and Moti Kaul sir, and there were a couple of other people. Then I went to the camp, because I was Advocate General of Madhya Pradesh at that time when I was doing all this. I went to that camp. I saw there was shortage of computers and lab at that time. So we donated computers also there so that they could set up their office. When you had the Uri episode, there was earthquake, I came with a lot of Rotary material. In fact, I fixed quotas for everybody to donate in the Hindi heartland. And whether it was Digvijay Singh, whether it was Kamal Nath, whether it was Ajit Jogi, chief ministers and ministers, they were all made to donate money for Kashmir, and all gave checks from 50,000 to 1 lakh. And with Rotary, I collected a lot of material. I came to Srinagar, met Amit. That's how I met Amit Vachu. And through Amit, I met all the Rotarians. And with Rotary, and there were some of them were professors of medical college there. Some were teachers, some were businessmen, wonderful people. I mean, I met very good people there. We traveled to Uri. And since the earthquake had taken place in the oddest of places, like in the mountains, so we couldn't have climbed the mountains with the relief material. So we met the army people there and handed over all that material stuff to the army. And it was, I think, November, if I remember correctly. It was getting cold. And the army told us that more people will die out of exposure and frostbite than who have died because of earthquake, because there were no places for shelter. So when I came back to Delhi, I immediately saw, this is 2006, I think. Uri, I don't remember the date.
2006.
When I came back, I still remember I sought an immediate appointment with Mrs. Gandhi, Sonia ji. I went to her. And amongst the many things, I described her this Kashmir visit. And I told her that I have met these people, and the army tells me that if we don't make arrangements for their stay and for their safety, more people are going to die because of cold than those who have died because of earthquake. I left it as a suggestion to her. I never realized that by evening an announcement would come by the Prime Minister that shelters will be built in all over Kashmir. Now, this is the speed at which Sonia ji worked at that time. I mean, this is the first time in disclosing it in public. I've never spoken about this ever.
Say something, sir, it's good that you said all this. These all are unobservable data. Yeah, even in internet, I haven't found this all. It's good.
No, because I never spoke about it. And same
nice,
evening,
sir. Very nice.
Manmohan Singh ji made this announcement for shelters. That is how I realized there is a great sensitivity of Sonia ji towards Kashmir also. And whenever I have met her, she's always spoken about the old families of Kashmiri Pandits with me. So I have great respect for Mrs. Gandhi, and I think she has great respect for the Kashmiri clan. Then my next contact came with Kashmir when we had my children. I'm running schools for special children in Madhya Pradesh. I have about 800 children. And these are all from the bottomest of the crust. This is in Jabalpur, Bhopal, Gwalior, Mandla, that's a Kana National Park, all tribal children, Bilaspur, Chhattisgarh. And the both chief ministers, BJP chief ministers, used to help me in this work, by the way.
Oh, great.
I have cut across party lines on work of humanity. Amit is an eyewitness to most of it. I don't think the humanity transcends all boundaries.
Yeah, doesn't have boundaries.
That's my outlook. And today I complete 4 years as a Rajya Sabha MP. So I've tweeted.
Congratulations, sir.
And I've said, I said, no task is bigger than the task of serving a fellow human being. And if we get a position of power, the need is to share this position and power. Need is to uplift people, and that is why God has given you this position. Yeah. So for me, any position that I get, any strength that I get, it is for the weaker. It is for the benefit of the weaker section. That's my motto of life. And what I find is, I'm a successful lawyer. The more I spend, the more I get. That's my experience of life. I'm not exaggerating. Even my Rajya Sabha election was virtually a God-sent gift to me. I could not have won in normal circumstances.
Right.
But so many things happened, and it was God's will that I should become a member of Rajya Sabha. You ask people of Madhya Pradesh, they'll tell you that also. And I've mentioned that in my tweet today.
All right.
So, as I said, I look at the world very differently. And in short, now I would like to sum up and say, without the Pandits, there is no Kashmir. They are the soul of Kashmir. It was the Pandits who were teachers in schools. It was the Pandit who were talking of peace and lived in peace and harmony with their neighbors. The people of Kashmir loved the Pandit. and Pandit loved the other people. There was no problem at all between Pandits and the Muslim or any other community. The problem started with Pakistan. Pakistan couldn't see Kashmir smiling. Pakistan couldn't see Kashmir happy. And the best way to create problem in Kashmir was to ensure that the Pandits get impacted and they're asked to leave the valley. That is the saddest history in the annals of Kashmir. Kashmir has never recovered after that. Kashmir has seen no happiness after 1990. Imagine the number of people who have died in this entire conflict. Both community, Kashmiri Pandits have lost heavily. So have the Muslims. So many people, I mean, young people, so many mothers have lost their children. So many sisters have lost their brothers. So many working men have died. Some died because of being misled. Some died because they were innocent also, because in a conflict, nobody knows the ultimate result.
Exactly.
So I said this in Parliament. I'm again repeating it in the debate on Kashmir. I said this, that Kashmir will only be happy when it sees the smile of Kashmiri Pandits in Kashmir.
All right, sir.
And that's Kashmir.
So, as you said, 2020 marked 30 years of the violence targeting the Kashmiri Pandit community, which led to a mass exodus. The hotly contested circumstances of their departure between January and March 1990, the numbers and the issue of their return are an important side to Kashmir's story that has fed into the Hindu-Muslim polarization in India over the years, in turn fueling the Hindu-Muslim caste in their valley. The overwhelming narrative that has been fueled by the current political climate of the country shames and blames Kashmiri Muslims for being silent spectators. This has stirred sufficient animosity between the two communities. However, some voices have prevailed, attempting to bridge the divisions between the Kashmiri Muslims and Kashmiri Pandit communities. As a problem to every historical tales, there might have been a wave of misinformation, irrational, emotional, and religious sentiments, and of course, the flowing of fake or augmented information which had portrayed this story to the general public like me. Maybe a tiny mere population of the majority community use this to get blame of their own community in its totality, or as Kashmiris believe, it might not be really an exodus or something. However, on my small understanding on Kashmir, until the Pandits are a sponsored entity of any forces, be it be any political ideology or government, until they don't insert force on rehabilitating them, the majority of Kashmir Muslims and the compassionate people of the valley will welcome, admit, and wholeheartedly accept their neighbor kins. Kashmir is not a place, Kashmir is not a region, and it is certainly not a borderland. For Kashmiris, be it Pandits or Muslims, as they don Ferran and the planned Karakuli over their heads, they slip into the fabric of coexistence, the fabric of Kashmiriyat. How much do you think the Kashmiriyat can bind the people of Kashmir above their religious identities, instilled to the Sufi and Rishi culture along with their rich heritage, sir?
Pardon me for making some startling comments, but let me tell you that
Okay.
I strictly believe that if the Gandhi family had remained in power for a longer time, not till 89, but even later, Kashmir problem may not have reached where it reached. Somewhere the Gandhis were part of the Kashmiri ethos. The Kashmir also saw them as their representatives in Delhi. And that love that they had, and the way Jawaharlal ji with his children and grandchildren would with his daughter and grandchildren would walk in the Shalimar Park, spend 15 days in Dachigaon and Gulmarg, was a connect that India had with Kashmir. In fact, this was the connect which kept Kashmir as part of us, which constitutionally still remains a part of us. But that emotional connect snapped with the Gandhis leaving the scene in 89, because then there were other prime ministers who didn't have the same connect with Kashmir, the bonding. Number two, when I was elected to Rajya Sabha, my first trip after election, before I even took oath, was a visit to Kashmir. I went to Hamay Devi Rajya ji. I went to that mandir also. We visited a lot of other mandirs also. We visited whole of Kashmir. We went to Gulmarg. We were in Srinagar. We went to Pahalgaon. And I refused any protection which was being offered to me. This is 2014. I said, I'm safer traveling as a normal person. I and my wife
As a
with our
Kashmiri.
taxi. Yes, as a Kashmiri. We loved our trip. We had hotel reservations arranged by Amit. And we went to all these places. Believe me, when you met the common man, he didn't want this violence. He was like, he would tell us. I mean, the man with the horse, the man waiting for his daily job, which was his earning. He would say, sir, हमको क्या लेना देना इन बातों से? हमारे बच्चे पढ़ते हैं, हम तो परेशान हो जाते हैं. हमारा घर बंद हो जाता है, हमारा किचन बंद हो जाता है, हमारे बच्चों की पढ़ाई सब डिस्टर्ब हो रही है. It is Pakistan, and Pakistan alone which has created this problem in Kashmir. And what Kashmiris have to realize that look at the condition of the area which Pakistan has annexed, which you call Pakistan
Okay,
occupied Kashmir,
yeah,
POK, which really speaking belongs to India.
exactly.
It was part of the full Kashmir state. Look at the condition of people in POK area. I mean, if you compare the two, you would find our Kashmiris were much better off than what is the condition
Exactly.
of people there. So as I said, it's a matter of perception. Kashmiris have to realize that India is their home, and India is their home. They are citizens of India. They have to grow with us. They have to be part of us, and we all need to grow together. And this is, in fact, Kashmiriyat is this, that you all live in harmony, you all live in peace, and we allow all our children and a new generation to flower and blossom. Because like the Kashmiri flowers and the Kashmiri weather, you can't have no better blossoming area.
So speaking of another part of a discussion, I would like to say I'm very happy to be a part of China Foundation under the honorable lead of Justice Karju and yourself, sir. As said, China Foundation will have its base on Kashmiriyat ideology, the ideologies of tolerance, compassion, and coexistence. Citing to the recent issues, including the unfortunate death of a Kashmiri Pandit Sarpanch, Ajay Pandita, and also the growing separatist military encounters which disrupts the normalcy of the valley, which has been happening since so long. Can we see a scope in Chinar as a community, of course, to summon the Kashmiri population, irrespective of their identities, and also to bridge a psychological gap between the people of the valley and citizens of mainland India to celebrate our holy mantra of unity in diversity? Can we see a scope like that, sir?
Let me tell you how this foundation became active.
Yes, yes, sir.
Justice Karju was very keen to play a very constructive role in Kashmir. He says, Vivek, I have achieved what I could achieve in life. Now I want to give back to the community. I want Kashmiriyat to prevail. I want happiness to come in the valley. I want people to be smiling in the valley. I want to, we should ensure this violence must go away from the valley, and how to do it. So when it was Corona time, and I always feel adversity also brings in opportunities. And I took this as an opportunity. I said, sir, there are hundreds and hundreds of Kashmiris, or thousands and thousands of Kashmiris struck all over India. They need help. They don't have governments, elected governments, and that help is not forthcoming. Because by this time, Kaju Sahab had started receiving a lot of mails, which he would forward to me. So I said, sir, let's start by helping the Kashmiris. So they will know that two Pandits living in Delhi, one Kaju and one Tankha, their hearts are open to help all Kashmiris, whether they are Muslims or Pandits. So maybe a good deed would lead to good results. And that is how Asif came into picture, and Asif became the coordinator. And we helped thousands and thousands of Kashmiris to get back to Kashmir. I intervened with so many governments for that.
Exactly.
In Madhya Pradesh, we had 600 students
I know, sir, you
in
have contacted
yes,
our external affairs
I
ministries.
contacted, yes. No. The External Affairs Ministry is much later. I contacted the Office of the Chief Minister. And on my request, the Office of Chief Minister engaged, they said, Mr. Tankha, since you're requesting that these children should go back, there are 600 children in Jabalpur, Bhopal, and in Indore and Ujjain. And those were hotspots.
Yeah.
And at that time, there was no movement of anybody from hotspots, if you remember. I'm talking of a month and a half back. No, there was no transport allowed. People were not allowed to move.
The initial.
On my request, and Kashmir government was not sending a request to send them back.
Yeah.
So on my request, they said, you just get us a letter. Kashmir will not pay. Madhya Pradesh government will pay for their return and arrange the return. So I requested the Lieutenant Governor, the Chief Secretary, and other officers. I sent them a mail. They sent a letter to the government of Madhya Pradesh. And on the basis of that letter, government of Madhya Pradesh arranged buses for the students and send them back to Kashmir. This was my first important effort. After that, of course, I spoke to Rajasthan Chief Minister because nothing was happening there. And in 24 hours, he arranged buses and he started sending people back. I spoke to Delhi administration. I spoke to Sanjay Singh ji, the member of parliament who sits with me in parliament. Through him with Arvind ji, we got them, the Delhi administration, because Delhi had the maximum presence of migrants and they had to go back. So they started relaxing rules for the migrants to go back. Then we spoke to Bengal, we spoke to Bihar, we spoke to everybody, Chhattisgarh, South, North, East, West. And then they wanted a train to start from Bombay. I spoke to the speaker of the Assembly. I sent a message to the speaker of the Assembly, Maharashtra Assembly. Within 20 minutes, he sent a message to the district administration, please arrange a train for the Kashmiris. And that's how the trains got arranged immediately. So a lot of things happened. I mean, what I'm telling you is only a minuscule of what we did.
And even that this domestic repatriation helps when to international repatriation helps. Like
then I got requests from Dubai, from
Kyrgyzstan. Yeah,
and
I know,
all kinds of. And not only Kashmir was one part. I was also getting requests from Madhya Pradesh, from Chhattisgarh, and others. I was also helping there on the same scale. I think we must have helped at least about 1 lakh people to reach home all over. Not only Kashmir, but I'm talking of Madhya Pradesh. Borders of Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh had been sealed for 5 days. 10,000 people were waiting at the borders. All the leaders had made their efforts to get the borders open. It was not happening. Finally, I tweeted. I spoke to the chief minister of Chhattisgarh, convinced him, and he got convinced. And in 2 hours' time, he opened the borders for those people to enter with Chhattisgarh. So as I said, this was a great time for all of us. Not great in that sense, but great time to work for people.
Exactly.
We took it as an opportunity to serve the cause of humanity. And then my team of lawyers in the whole of Madhya Pradesh, they started Vivek Tankha kitchens, Vivek Tankha team kitchens, and all highways they were serving food for how many days? 2 weeks at least, or 2.5 weeks. And lawyers, leading lawyers I'm talking of, were on the streets. Looking to their example, citizens also joined them. Some judges also came and started joining them, high court judges. So as I said, you live by example. If you live by example, things happen.
So this helps. It helps us to like show the Kashmiri community that we are concerned and we are there to help. So this team or this foundation may help, right, sir?
Yeah,
that's what you're pointing.
In a very positive way. We want to bridge this whatever gap is there between the two communities. That we are both well-wishers of each other.
Okay.
Be part of us. Be part of the mainstream. We are all Indians, and we have to keep the enemy at bay.
Don't understand the enemy first.
Yeah, they have to psyche. They have to understand to keep the enemy at bay. The enemy cannot be interfering with your life because he's going to spoil your life. Okay. He can never enhance your life. And that that day when all this really happens, you will find the same smiles in the faces of Kashmiris. The soul of Kashmir would be happy. That is Kashmirian.
Okay, sir. And generally, we keep away every political tone of discussion, like every political tones away from my personal discussions with anyone. But before I conclude, let me just ask a question, sir. As a lawmaker and as a member of Indian Parliament, so do you really think the time is very delayed, or time has exceeded to start or initiate some political activities in the Kashmir Valley, whatever? Let's not go to the special status or what is abrogated or whatever, but a general initiation of this ground level political activities. Has the time exceeded to that?
In my opinion, which I've said in Parliament, which I say in my interviews, and I'm repeating it again, the only way to bring peace is through people. Police and administration can only be interregnum arrangements. They are not a permanent answer to peace.
Okay.
At the end of the day, it's people of Kashmir who have to bring peace in Kashmir. And the peace in Kashmir has to come through its own people. They have to be in governance. They have to realize that they are in the forefront of this battle for peace. Now, somewhere the political system goes wrong, because this is where I disagree with the political system as a whole. Our political system somehow does not involve the civil society and the good people. Us political systems have got so used to professional politicians and their stakeholders in the situations that exist. And they live to coexist also. I hope you understand what I say.
Living to coexist, that's great.
So my fight is against this system also. Whether it be Kashmir or it be Madhya Pradesh or Uttar Pradesh or any state in India, you have to involve the civil society. You must give importance to good people. Parties also should start nominating real leaders, people who are intellectuals, people who are philosophers, people who have of ideas as their candidates. You have taken away the right of good people to be in politics. When you take away that right of good people to be in politics, this is where the nation lands up. And this is cross-party. I'm a very bold person that way.
All right.
I really feel, and why I'm in Congress today. I love my party because I believe in the ideology. I'm a very inclusive person by nature. You ask people in Jabalpur, you ask people in Madhya Pradesh, where I practiced for so many years. I was advocate general for 5 years. If I heard even a sound or a whisper about any minority or anybody being troubled, I would come with a ton of brick on people. Whether it was the Sikh community, I would fight for them. Whether it was the Christian community, or the Muslim community, or the Jain community, or the Sindhi community, any community, Bengali community. And we have a very cosmopolitan population in Madhya Pradesh, especially our area. We have as many Malayalams and Telugus and Kannars and Bengalis.
I'm from Kerala, sir. I hope you know.
Yes,
I'm from Kerala.
So we have a wonderful advocates of people in that area. And I have fought the battle for every community. I feel India will be India only when we learn to live in this diversity. We learn to enjoy the diversity.
Okay.
This was Nehru.
Exactly.
That was Nehru. That was Gandhi. That was Patel. That was Maulana Azad. You need giants like them in India.
So I'm about to conclude this small session, sir. Thank you so much for joining us here today and sharing your views, experiences, and much more things. We would like to get back to you on many topics later also. And
thank you.
Again, congratulations, sir, as you're completing your term as Rajya Sabha member today. Very hearty congratulations. And as you said, for your single man fight against the system as a law student, as an independent researcher on Kashmir, and much more than that, as a responsible citizen of this country, I pledge my personal and my professional allegiance to your fight against the system, which does not include the civil society. So thank you so much, sir. Thank you for having with us.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you so much, Irfan.